SBR is a core strategic professional exam, meaning that everybody has to do it. But in addition, students also have to do an elective paper. And today's episode of my podcast is about AFM. And for that reason, I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Andrew Mower. Hello, Andrew.
Hi, Tom. Thank you ever so much for having me on. Very nice to see you. So I love AFM. It's a great option, and I know you want to know all about it. So I'm all yours. Take away any questions you got for me.
Well, it's an optional paper, isn't it, Andrew? So I guess as a student, they have a choice. So why would they choose to do AFM?
There are loads of reasons, and it's a very good question, and it's one that I get asked a lot, and I feel like a bit of an AFM salesman at this point. But just to say, I genuinely think AFM is the best choice of the four. Like, this isn't just me saying it because I'm an AFM expert tutor. This is because I genuinely believe it. The first thing, and something that is so important, as you know, is it's fun. It covers some really interesting topics. So we're looking at some things that tie in really nicely with the real world. So like how to value a company, and students always find that really interesting. If you go on any sort of news website, there'll be various business news things going on, and you can really relate that to the AFM syllabus, which is brilliant. So some fun stuff to learn, looking at dividend policies, and I always bring my courses to life. I have these sections on like real world examples. So we'll analyze Apple's dividend policy, for example, and see why they've paid dividends at this point and not that point, and look at their strategy. So again, it's really relatable, and it just ties in so nicely with real world stuff. So that's one of my big ones. And if you enjoy learning something, it's just so much easier, isn't it? And so much easier to retain.
It is so much easier when you've got someone with passion and when it's an interesting topic. And I guess as accountants, we are interested in investments and making money and understanding share prices and that kind of stuff, because that's what AFM is about, isn't it?
It is exactly that. So share prices, investment appraisal. So like you said, getting the most out of your money. So making sure that every investment you make is getting you some sort of positive return. Loads of really great content. It also ties in really nicely with FM, so F9 as it used to be called. So students who have done that and enjoyed it, I always recommend they go on and do AFM pretty quickly because there is a lot of overlap. But one of the other common questions I get is, I was exempt from FM. Loads of people are exempt, or did it at university years ago. Is that an issue? And you can go back over the things, you can relearn them. And again, in my courses, I always revisit all of the stuff you need anyway from FM to do that. But there is quite a lot of crossover. So that's another good reason to choose it. If you enjoy the financial management side of things, like NPVs, WACC, valuations, even hedging. Some people love hedging, and
some people love hedging.
Some people love hedging. Yeah. Well, honestly, once you get a head around hedging, it is good fun. It's just I have my set pro formas for hedging, which I go through, and once it clicks, people are like, oh, I get it. Okay, I just work my way through this, and it's all good.
So when you're talking about NPV, when you're talking about internal rate of return, that implies to me that there are some numbers involved in the exam. What proportion of numbers, and I assume you have spreadsheets to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you got spreadsheet, and you've got your word processor. There's also a bonus bit of software in the AFM exam. I don't know, the BSOP calculator, Black-Scholes option pricing.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
So that's a real treat. And that was a real game changer a few years ago when that got introduced, because you used to have to use this formula, and honestly, doing it on your calculator, it would take 20 minutes trying to work out if you've got enough brackets. Whereas now you put all the inputs in and it just churns out the answer for you, which is great. So to answer your question, I think it's more discursive than some people think. I think people think, I'm really good at numbers, I'm good at maths, I can do this. But there's a lot of discussion of your assumptions. You've got your 20 professional marks as well that you've got to look out for. So it's probably around half and half overall, like calculations and discussion. So it's not just about being able to do the numbers. You also need to know why you're doing them, what the actual meaning is, draw conclusions. Those sorts of bits will help massively.
I mean, I resonate the idea of having to explain and discuss the assumptions and underlying things from an SBR perspective. Two things there that struck me though. One is the amount of marks potentially there for numbers. Maybe in SBR it's only 20 marks at max. And you've got more than that.
Yeah.
And the other one is this professional marks. In SBR, we have 4 professional marks only, and that makes us different from the other papers. Could you explain to me a little bit more about those? How how a student earns those professional marks. Are they easy to earn? Are they difficult to earn? How do you get them?
Yeah, it's a great question. And this is where a lot of students miss out on such easy marks. 20 marks, when you think about it, I mean, that's 40% of the way to a pass, isn't it? And when you put it in that context, it's like people obsess about, we talked about hedging. They'll be obsessing about one number they can't quite get right in a hedging calculation. Just go, don't worry about that. Guess that one. Just move on, as you'd say, or just keep swimming, as I say. Move on to the next bit, and let's get those 20 professional marks. So in question 1, you've got your communication marks, and you've got in there you need to do your report format. So that's in the big 50 marker. So communication just in question 1. But then throughout every question, you've got professional skepticism. So we're looking at stating assumptions and challenging them, which should be relatively straightforward, should be quite nice marks. You've got your commercial acumen, so understanding the context of the industry that company's working in and relating it to the scenario. And again, that's where, we said about real world and linking it to the real world. That's where people who do that have an advantage, because they can make that link. They can say, oh yeah, we could make this investment in this new machinery, but it's going to have a knock-on effect because the company's recently said that they're trying to be more sustainable and this machine isn't. So looking at the bigger context. And then you've also got analysis and evaluation, which is about drawing conclusions and advising on your numbers, not just doing an MPV and then going, there you go, it's positive, let's do it. Saying, but actually there are other things we need to consider, and adding a little bit more insight into your answers as well.
That's very, very interesting. Thank you, Andrew. You haven't really talked about yourself and your background and how it was that you came to teaching as an independent lecturer, AFM online. Would you like to share something along those lines?
Yeah, sure. So it's tricky to know how far to go back, but I started at Kaplan, which is where, did we overlap? I think
we did.
We did overlap for a few weeks, I think, didn't we? At Kaplan in London. And so I started there back in 2013, and I absolutely loved it and had a great time. Met some amazing people, and keep in touch with loads of them still. And I still go back and work at Kaplan occasionally as a freelancer. So it's nice to see people. So I worked there for just over 10 years at Kaplan, teaching all different qualifications, but really sort of focusing on that financial management and advanced financial management stream, and some strategy as well, those sorts of papers. And did some management roles there, did various bits, and then inspired by people like yourself and Ben Wilson, who'd set up their own online presence and were doing really well, I decided to make the move a couple of years ago. And I started offering my own online courses, and as part of that, I work closely with ACCA, like yourself, so producing a lot of their YouTube videos for debriefs, writing courses, writing content, consulting with them, which is really useful just for getting some real insight as to what ACCA is about, and understanding changes and everything else, which is great. And then built my own online courses, and again, like you, YouTube and podcasts, students seem to find really helpful. So
how can they, if a student's interested in reaching out to you, Andrew Mower, how do they do that?
You can find out more about me and everything I do at www.andrewmower.com. And I'm also on YouTube, which is Andrew Mower AFM. So loads of free resources and videos on there, which are useful. I've actually got one about how to earn the 20 professional marks really easily. So just tying in with your question earlier, with loads of examples, and that's really popular. Loads of students say that's useful. I also did something inspired by you as well, Tom, which was to do a question from start to finish against the clock. So I put a little bit of pressure on myself, got out of my comfort zone, and went into full-on student mode with a timer on the screen and said, I'm going to do a hedging question. So I did a full hedging question against the clock. So that's on there as well. That's from one of the practice exams on ACCA software, which people find really useful. So Andrew Mower AFM on YouTube. And also got AFM Made Easy, my AFM podcast as well. So again, loads of resources out there.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. And if you've enjoyed listening to this episode, please remember to like and subscribe wherever you are. But my name's Tom Clendon, and thank you very much for listening.